I almost feel like it's almost mandatory to have a social media account for your everyday life in a contemporary world. And I think I've been quite active on social media for quite long. And recently I've deleted all of my social accounts, but gradually. There's a history of my social media history, and I think it is quite I thought it's quite interesting enough to share it to my listeners in the podcast, because I think it's more and more difficult to find someone who has the same thought about social media as mine. Is that, like what it says in the title, I recently deleted all my social accounts, and I feel more social than ever. And I really wanted to know this feeling about feeling more sociable with people, and it felt like I was more belong to belong to some group that I can't even specifically say what is. I can't say that I feel like I belong to a specific place, like my company or my family or my friends, because I already feel I belong to them. But it just feels like I feel like I'm more belong to a social circle where there's a people who actually lives there. Because we live in a world that it is so easy to be stuck in a social media or smartphone or YouTube, the network, the internet. It's so easy to be stuck in that and not be realistic enough. I'm not saying be objective and be super critical and be more, be more realistic person. I'm not saying in the context. To me, the way I'm saying about let's be social and let's be realistic is in a sense that we should always be able to stand up on the earth ground and really live the present, if you know what I mean. It sounds a bit complicated, but it's quite simple. How many people would be able to proudly say that they are actually living in the present, not in their smartphone, not in the internet, not in the X, not in Twitter, not in Instagram? How many people are there on earth right now in this modern world that actually feels like they're living this place and the present with the person they're around? Because since I moved to Tokyo, and I also lived in Seoul for 2 years, what I felt like is that because I commute to work on subway or train all the time, or bus, since I started working, basically, I just started to feel a bit sad about the fact that people on the bus, on their way to commute, they are stuck in their smartphones most of the times, except the driver. Or sometimes the driver also seems to be stuck in their phone, actually. It's illegal, it's dangerous, and I'm aware of that, but yeah. Except the drivers, everyone in the train, everyone in the bus, everyone in the train seem to be not living in the present. I'm trying my best to not sound like a snob, but you know what I mean. Everybody seemed stuck in their phones, and to me it looked a bit like, as a person who's seeing those people stuck in their phone, I just sometimes feel a bit sad even. I know everyone in that train has a cognitive thought, and they have a will, they have a right to choose whatever they want, but it's kind of sad to see those people stuck in their phone, not talking, whoever they're with, and they are living, right? They are alive, and they are actually moving their bodies to go to work in order to raise money and to raise their family. But it seemed like now people these days in this modern world, I think it's kind of getting hard to find someone who lives the present and to be fully engaged in that present situation. And that kind of motivated me to also delete the social media account. That's one of the reasons. So I just wanted to share my thought about this, and asking my listeners, is there anyone who feels similar to me about this issue? So yeah, the main story is I deleted all my social account, and it didn't happen like one day. I have a history, like I said before. So I think I started my social media when I was 12, 13 maybe, because it was 2010 and I was in Britain, and people started to have Facebook, and it was getting viral. Like, it was even stupid to not have a Facebook account if you're in high school, at least in the UK where I lived. I don't know what it was like in Korea though, but still. So it was kind of also be seen as stupid if you don't have a full Facebook account. So as a teenager who can't tolerate being late, like the FOMO, I also got my Facebook account, and I, like every teenagers are, I got very addicted to it very easily and very quickly. And since, I think at the time, I was immature to kind of, I think I was immature when it comes to friendship. I didn't know that you don't really need to get along with everyone. And I just felt that pressure to get along with everybody, and I really hated the fact that not everybody can like me, and there must be someone who hates me or don't care about me. It sounds a bit snobbish, it sounds a bit like a princess treatment, but at the time I was mature, and I think I was a kind of very sensitive teenager who happens to move to a place that is completely different to a world that I used to live in, South Korea. Did you? Like, in a completely different environment, completely different culture, completely different perspective about a lot of things. It kind of made me more sensitive towards friendship and very sensitive towards the relationship, Like, I sometimes find it hard to understand that there are people who doesn't like me, and I should be able to adapt it and admit it and be, generous about people around me. So anyways, I started my Facebook account, and again, I got very addicted very easily and very quickly. And that wasn't the only problem. I think being very addictive to your social media at that age is kind of obvious. Like, what do you expect to a 13-year-old? So I was pretty active, and I remember I used to like a lot of posts from my peer friends. Those people I can't even remember the name of them anymore. So yeah, I remember I've been very active, and it was even toxic about me being so active of Facebook at that time. Because again, I was 13, I was very sensitive and very immature. Anyways, so after the success of Facebook account, everyone in school started to have the account, and everybody started to be very active. Again, they're teenagers. What do you expect from them? So, but that wasn't even the problem. The problem was, it's kind of a very private thing to say about this, is that, so there was a boy that I liked. He was my crush, and so that wasn't it. So there was a crush that I liked for a while when I was in the UK, and there was a school trip that took like a week. I think it was a week, to Wales, and I went to Wales for a school trip for a week, and I was assigned to a room that had like 5 or 6 roommates, and those roommates were acquaintances. I wouldn't say that they were my friends. I knew them, but I wasn't really close to them, because again, at that time, my English was quite bad, and I wasn't really... I don't think I was a good person to be friend with, to be honest. Yeah. I didn't get along with friends in the UK quite well. My language was still bad, and I was still very sensitive about adapting to a completely new environment. So anyways, so I had like 4 or 5 roommates, and I think there was a bit of tension between us. I could definitely feel that there was some intense atmosphere between us. Like, we didn't fight or anything. We didn't fight at all, but I just felt like I wasn't really invited. I wasn't really welcome there, even though they are my roommates. But again, it's school trip, so what are you going to do? You're just going to accept it because you're a student. So during that week, I enjoyed the sport bit, but there was an incident. So while I was in the UK, I would write diary. I was actively journaling every day because my parents told me to. They weren't very, how do you say it? They weren't very strict parents when it comes to education, but when it comes to journaling, when it comes to writing and stuff, they were quite strict about it. So I was kind of forced to write diaries since I was 7 or 6, the first grade of high school. No, sorry, primary school. And until I was 12 or 13, until the age when I was still in the UK, especially because I was in the UK, I was forced to write journal, and at the same time, I did like writing journals. So this is the difficult part. This is the huge part. So even though it was a school trip, of course my parents are going to ask me to write journals. So, and also I wanted to. So I brought my diary with me, and at the time I wanted to improve my English writing skills. So, and at the time I think I was kind of getting close with like being fluent in English. So I took my diary with me, and at that time most of my diary was written in English. So I think you guys might guess what happened. So the beginning of the story was that I had a crush, and I write journals in English. So I was 13, so yes, I wrote some things about my crush in my diary because it's my diary. And somehow those kids, those teenagers in my room, those roommates, saw me writing a journal, and they happened to decide to open my diary and kind of read through what I've written so far, and that's already horrible. So they found out my journal about my crush, and at the time there was some incident that I don't think I can share this in this podcast. Like, it's very complicated, and I'm sure that I can't really objectively say anything about it because, again, I was very young. Those people were very young, and I was mature. I believe those were also mature as well. But anyways, so they basically read through my diary, which is more than half of them were written in English. And of course, because I was so mad with my crush, I did write a lot about my crush. And somehow they didn't stop by just reading my journal, which is already really, really bad. It's really, really bad action to do it to your peer friends. And I still feel really bad about it. I still resent them about the fact that I decided to read my journal without my content, of course, and without any, I don't know, like, yeah, like, they were young, but still there there's a common sense that you shouldn't look into someone else's diary, even though you're 13. So, not just reading through my diary, they decided to take a picture of part of my diary that I was kind of complaining about my crush and talking about my crush, and I was madly, I wouldn't say it's love, but I did like him a lot. So they decided to take a photo of that page and post it on Facebook. Yes, I'm saying the truth. That happened. And the fact that I saw that like a month later, the day they posted, I didn't instantly see what it is, but it took me a month to discover that post because I wasn't active on Facebook for a month, but at that time, which is so stupid. Why did I do that? Like, why didn't I instantly discovered it and asked them to delete it? But yeah, they posted it online on Facebook, where if you have a Facebook account, you can always see what I've written. So after a month it was posted, I discovered it, and I remember my hands were shaking and I was crying so much, and like running towards my parents about what happened. I really want to move school, like what's going on, what are they doing? So to me it was really traumatic, that incident. I think the core reason that I wasn't very happy while I was on social media is that there was some traumatic incident that happened to me while using Facebook. So after the incident, I think I deleted my Facebook account after that, but maybe I did kept on using it. I don't know. So yeah, that was the first incident about Facebook. So yeah, basically I don't really have a good memory with Facebook. So if I move to another history about social media, is that after using Facebook for quite a while, because it was the only platform that I can stay contact with my friends back in the UK, I was actively on Facebook even after I come back to Korea, and also in Korea as well, because I would have went to a school back in Korea as well, right? So I've been active on Facebook as well, even when I came back to Korea. But anyways, so after the Facebook, the Instagram started to go viral, and I've also used Instagram for a while. I think it was like 2-3 years, and it went okay, but I started to be fed up with how do you say it? I started to get fed up and be quite frustrated about the concept of the stories, the Instagram stories. The fact that I had to look into someone else's private lives. Yes, I know they posted it like voluntarily, and it was their right to post whatever they want to. And it was me who followed them in Instagram. So there's nothing wrong with those people who posted it, but I think it was matter of my personality, maybe. My personality, and yeah, like those stories on Instagram kind of, for me, was really energy draining to be able to see whoever person and whatever they're doing right now, because they posted it voluntarily and I followed them voluntarily. And the more I used it, the more I was using it, I just felt more energy drained and more depleted. And as time goes by, I kind of started to feel I'm really fed up with this. I really don't want to stay online on Instagram anymore. So I gradually started to feel that, and more intensely every time, like gradually. So after using it for very actively for 3 years, I also permanently deleted an Instagram account, and I was 3 times happier than ever. So I've never ever regretted deleting a Facebook account and Instagram account, because I remember like there was an interview by Scarlett Johansson about social media, about why doesn't she have a social account even though she's a megastar. And I think she answered saying, she said like, what she said is that I feel like I'm so fragile to manage the social media, and I can absolutely agree with it. I also feel very fragile towards managing social media, and I don't think I have the mentality to manage and organize the social media. You know, like, I think it's almost impossible to not care about how many of likes you've got and how many of followers you've got, and kind of tracking the person that you just followed, about like who they're interested in, how many followers they have, and what kind of people they have followed. And to me, like, it's so revealing, and I don't want to expose that much about myself to other person, even though I accepted them to follow me. Yeah. So first reason, I felt so fragile to be exposed to a world about who I am. Again, I know I'm not a megastar, and I know I'm not a superstar, but again, as a personnel, I just didn't feel very happy and safe about it. And secondly, I just happened to realise that I'm not really interested in other people, even though I voluntarily pushed a button of follow of that person. So at first I started to kind of decrease the amount of time that I'm on Instagram, but come on, for social media, they are highly addictive, and they are designed to be addictive, and they are designed to trigger people's attention. Like, they hire like Harvard PhD people to make it highly addictive and highly productive and highly profitable from the app. So I just decided to just delete the account. And honestly, I often say this to my friends or any people that I'm talking to, is that it was one of the best decisions I made in my life, to delete the Facebook and Instagram account. So yeah, this is the other two history regarding social media. And finally, I also recently decided the last social network media, which is X, the former Twitter. I think I've been using Twitter for like 1-2 years, and I think I was also addicted. I was quite also addicted to it, and I was active on it. I didn't post anything, but I just enjoyed people just talking shit about anything. I just like the humor of early X has it. And I'm not going to say it wasn't informative at all, because it was sometimes quite informative about, I don't know, like what's happening around the world. Yeah, it was very informative, and I can't deny the fact that I did get some information. I did get some great information from that, but I was able to realize that there were more and more toxic posts on Twitter, even though I kept on like restricting the posts that I really didn't find it nice. Like those tweets that are so toxic, and those tweets are very, very polarized and trigger very polarized opinion that it's not true, because again, it's X, and it's controlled by rumors. It's controlled by how much it is provocative, basically. So the more I got into it, I just started to feel very, very bad about it. Like, I just didn't feel right while I was on the Twitter, because again, most of the posts were very, very polarized and very, very drastic. And I know that world doesn't run that way. It's always not that drastic. It's not always that sad. It's not always that toxic. So very recently, like a few weeks ago, I also decided to delete the Twitter account, and I am also very, very happy about it, and I will never ever go back. I just found it, I don't regret about using it, because again, it was informative and I did get some good influence by it, but now I know that I'm just end of the era of using social media. So yeah, basically now, after being active on social media for almost a decade, now I am officially, I have officially no social accounts anymore. And I can't even think of any person around me who is in the same situation as me, because I know there are some ghost users who don't really expose themselves on social media, but they are very active, or they can be not very active, but they do sometimes go on and kind of see what's been going on. But now I'm officially social media free, and I don't have any plan to go back, of course. So while I was using social media, the biggest thing that the biggest realization that I had was that having a social media and being active on social media, and those posts on that social media kind of made me think the act of using social media is almost the same as walking on the street with a microscope, if you know what I mean. Like, wherever you go, whatever it's like a street, like extra clean, luxurious road in Dubai or Singapore, Tokyo, wherever that is, wherever you can imagine, there must be, even whatever the cleanest road that you're gonna walk on, there must be something dirty on it, right? There must be something dirty. There must be dust. There must be a tiny little bit of, I don't know, broken glass or broken plastic, something like that. There must be some bit of spat that was on like 10 years ago that's still on there. So what I want to describe is that having a social media can kind of mean that you're walking with a microscope and seeing if there's any little bit of shit on the street that you can look on, that you can look. And the more I use social media, I just felt like my thoughts are getting rotten. I don't know if that's the right way to explain it, but I just felt like my brain was getting rotten the more I use it. And I started to feel more sad and kind of depressed even sometimes, according to the time that I'm on that social media, if you know what I mean. So yeah, so that was that. And I also found out I was a very fragile person to social media. So yeah, that's what I thought about social media after using it for a decade. And I've posted my email account on my podcast. And I also want to ask if there's anyone like me, any similar thoughts about social media. And as a person who lives in a modern world, 2026, where, again, like I said it at the beginning, where it feels like it's almost mandatory to have a social media account, I do sometimes ask myself if it's really okay. Am I on behind? Like, do I have to, like, am I really okay about it? Do you think, like, do I really think it's gonna make me feel behind? And do you think it will make me, like, feel like I'm completely alone and lonely sometimes, just because I'm not in social media? I do have those kind of questions in my head even now, but at this moment, like I said, what it says in the title, ironically, because I've deleted all social media accounts, I feel social than ever. I feel more social than ever. And I wonder if there's anyone who feels similar to me. And I didn't really talk about this kind of topic with anyone else because everyone uses it. And I don't want to blame those people using it for a right purpose. I definitely know that it is very, very important for some people to use that social media. And there must be thousands and thousands of people got a good influence and got a huge benefit from it. But again, it was my personal choice. And it's my personal thought about it. And I wanted to share it in my podcast. So yeah, I think this was my episode for today. And sorry that I uploaded the episode a bit late this week. I'll try my best to upload it every Friday or Saturday. So again, thanks for listening for this episode, and I hope we can see each other next week as well. Bye.